Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Sports Social.
The Sports Social Podcast Network is delighted to be supporting this year's Sports Podcast Awards, recognising the sporting podcasts that are top of their game. And now it's your turn to lend your support to your favourite sport podcasts. Voting is open now, which means you can get behind your favourite shows and show your appreciation for the hard graft they put in, keeping you entertained and informed on whatever sport it is you follow. There are 21 categories to vote in, including football, tennis, golf, rugby, and loads more. And voting is dead simple. Head to sportspodcastawards.com. Vote now and be part of the action.
The following is a snippet of an exclusive members-only podcast episode for our Patreon Chronicles Tifosi. Become a member at patreon.com/Serie Chronicles for regular bonus episodes and content.
Hey Chronicles Tifosi, we've got a little extra for you this week. A lot of people have been interested in trying to understand better what has changed in Italian football with the lapsing of the Decreto Crescita, the growth decree, which was a decision made seemingly contentiously with some high-level debate by government ministers just before Christmas that they were not going to extend this decree, which has had quite a direct impact on Italian football in recent years because it was a decree that governed how much tax foreign nationals coming to Italy paid and therefore also foreign footballers coming to Italy. Patrick, would you be able to give our listeners just like a quick synopsis of what has changed with the lapsing of the Decreto Crescita?
I can certainly try. Yeah, the Decreto Crescita was first brought into force in 2019. And as you said, it provided tax breaks for certain skilled individuals or high earners coming into Italy. And they weren't necessarily only foreign workers either. This extends to several sectors. But naturally, our focus is on the footballing side of things. And what it did was it allowed football clubs to recruit players at a lower cost on the balance sheet than they would ordinarily have to pay. So I've got an example here. Adrien Rabiot, for instance, he earns 7 million euros a year net at Juventus. With the growth decree, Juventus only have to pay him 9.2 million gross per year. But without the growth decree, which has now elapsed, they'd have to pay him 13 million euros. So there's a massive difference. There's almost 4 million euros difference in how much it's going to cost Juventus as an organisation to be able to pay his wages because there are tax breaks. So you would pay a lower rate of income tax based on your earnings, I think, for 5 years. So that was basically what the growth decree was. It was to try and stimulate skilled workers coming into the country to try and boost the economy as part of a larger package of measures which are all there to try and stimulate the Italian economy following the effect and repercussions of COVID-19 and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, it became controversial and certain ministers have decided to do away with it. And so there was hopes that there would be a 28-day grace period or a grace period at least up until February to allow Italian clubs to harness this tax break as well, and this mechanism, at least for the January transfer window. They're not going to backdate it. It's not going to be any retroactive changes to contracts, obviously, which are already existing deals, but it has impacted the room for manoeuvre for Italian clubs going forward in terms of being able to recruit the best talent, and it has implications for competitiveness. I think Beppe Marotta, the Inter CEO for sport, has said 18 months shy of the first ever 32-team Club World Cup, this is really going to impact how those two Italian representatives are going to be able to test themselves against some of the best teams in Europe and the world.
Yes, I think that the issue is that when Italy first introduced this, they introduced this so it's not just for football. For football, they changed somewhat of the rules because it became to pay only 50% of the tax that would be owed. But it was introduced in Italy because of the brain drain, and that they felt that the country was losing skilled workers to different countries that were giving them better benefits and more money. So this was a way to attract that. And it's something that they saw at the time that happened with Ronaldo coming into Italy, and how much that opened for them on a marketing level as well. For football, this was something that was spoken about. So they didn't offer the same incentive that they did, but they did ensure that you would pay 50% only of the tax, the gross amount. And so this is one of the reasons why people were angry when this was decreed, when this was first came into effect at the time, because it said that, these people are going to pay anyway. These people are always going to bring in these levels of talent. And so we're just like cutting the tax man out of collecting very important money, and that, football is being given this priority over all these other industries. And football argued that, and I agree with this argument, so I think it depends on where you stand, but one of the arguments is that Italian football is already at a disadvantage because of the bureaucracy, and Italian teams are not collecting the amount of revenue that other teams in Europe are, because we have problems when it comes to counterfeit products, when it comes to sponsorship deals, when it comes to building stadiums, for example, when it comes to piracy and how many people just rip off the content of Sky or DAZN and watch it illegally. And these are not matters that are being effectively addressed by the government. So when football is trying to just level itself out and be competitive as a league to compete with the likes of the Premier League, it's already at a disadvantage. Offering them the gross decree just allowed them to somewhat claw that advantage back to at least be competitive and bring in some of the players. On another level, I sort of agree with it going in one way or another now, because you're not bringing in the best anymore. There isn't a Ronaldo to bring in, right? And at the moment, it's Saudi Arabia for all the veterans. If you are Milinkovic-Savic and you just want to get paid, right, you're going to go to Saudi. A lot of these guys will choose Saudi now, or go to the Premier League, who are Aston Villa, who will want all of these guys. So is it really offering, or is it just making Milan or other teams, Juventus, whoever, fill themselves up with a lot of foreign talent at the expense of our youth?
Can I just come in on that? Because I think this is like one of the really interesting points about this conversation. And there's lots that goes into this conversation that's interesting. We've heard lots of sporting directors talk about how it's going to make their life more difficult this January. And I think sort of broadly, the response in Italy has split down two lines. You've got clubs and sporting directors who don't like the change because it's going to restrict their options signing foreign players, because now signing foreign players costs more. Worth saying as well on that point that it's not being applied retrospectively. So if you're already under contract, you continue to enjoy the benefits of the old law for another 5 years. So it won't affect teams who've already recruited players, but it will affect recruitment going forward. On the other side of things, you have the Italian Players Union, who immediately said, well, this is good news because it's going to get Italian players more opportunities. And I thought one of the interesting things to sort of look at with this, because I think that sort of split gets an instant emotional reaction from people in terms of how they think it will affect football. Will it make the domestic game stronger or not? So I thought it was interesting to just have a comparison right away with the other big leagues around Europe. And so this is from transfermarket.com, but their numbers for this season, minutes played by players, was domestic against foreign. So the Premier League has 29.7% of minutes played by domestic players, 70.3% of foreign. So that's the highest of the top 5 leagues. The lowest is La Liga, which has 57.7% domestic against just 42.3% foreign. So quite a sort of outlier in this group, as it's actually the only country where there's more minutes played by domestic players than by foreign players. Serie A is second on the list after just the Premier League, with 63.5% of minutes played by foreign players. So without question, in the context of the big leagues, Italy has tended towards more foreign players than everyone except for England. I think within that, there's a really interesting sort of sub-conversation, which is because people then say, well, it's going to be better for the national team. I think a lot of people would argue that the Premier League being 70% foreign hasn't hurt the national team, given that the national team is as strong as it's been in a long time.
Agreed.
Great point.
Having said that, Liga and La Liga have got higher percentage of domestic players, and they've won more. So I don't know if that, I don't know if there's really a clear answer on that, but I think it's a complicated answer. And I think just going, making more Italian kids play will get better national team results is maybe oversimplifying.
It's not black and white. I think it comes down to this, Head to SerieChronicles.com/Patreon now and subscribe to the Chronicles Tifosi Patreon membership with a free 7-day trial. Get early access to every full-length episode and voice note before the rest of the world. Plus, all episodes are 100% ad-free. And you get bonus Patreon-only exclusive episodes, video episodes, and behind-the-scenes extras. Also, be sure to join the new chat community in the Patreon app and chat with fellow subscribers.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.